Hi guys, Jurassic Junkie here, and I want to kill myself. Welcome to the Friday Night Rant. So yes, I need to explain straight away. I'm going to try, I failed. I need to try and do little movements because I found out the camera is building up its buffer, and that's why last week I had terrible problems recording. And I've had the same problems today already, but I've managed to work out where the problem lies and ordered a new card which is super duper fast and should fix the issue. So this video might be a bit choppy because it's going to be done in bits, and two, I can't move much because when I shake myself then the buffer goes nuts. So yeah, that technical stuff out of the way. Guess what? I already opened a beer because guess what? The camera cut out while I was drinking it, so I've got to drink it very slowly. But this is Nutty Black, which is thoroughly delicious, curiously dark beer. And when I first drank this and gave me my real reaction, I thought it was going to be really strong and bittery kind of thing, but it's very nice. I'm enjoying it. So with a very static Jurassic Junkie then, I'm going to try and give you some information without moving. First thing I want to actually say is I did a video this week where I says I was thinking of doing a project where we can exchange games within the community, and I just want to say I always reply to the comments on my videos, but that one I haven't, simply because it had a lot of great information people gave me, and my response would be thanks for your support on every single comment, so that's why I've not commented. The other thing I want to talk about is obviously last week's Friday Night Rant was me talking about the entire Xbox One conference / PlayStation 4, and some people said that I come off kind of looking like I'm actually just protecting Microsoft, and what I want to say is the reason I was protecting more than anything because there's so many rumours and just shit being said. I wanted to squash them really before I could get into the nitty gritty, but time was done. It's like a 30-minute video. So today I'll get into the nitty gritty of what I don't like, which proves I'm not a fanboy because I can see the faults and I want to talk about them. So but before I go into anything, I just want to say one massive piece of information I just found out and I am so excited for. I kind of hoped it was on the cards, but it's been confirmed, and that is Mirror's Edge 2. Now what happened is EA are obviously been working on the support website ready for Mirror's Edge 2, and some nunnut actually released it onto the internet and it went live and very quickly went down again, but luckily enough there's some screenshots grabbing that, so that's practically just as good as confirmed. Mirror's Edge 2 is here and I'm super happy and probably would wave my arms about it if I couldn't be static. So first thing is I woke up this morning from an email from Amazon simply saying that you can now pre-order your Xbox One at the price of $599.99, so £599, which I thought £600 is quite a fair amount of money for a brand new console, but then quickly realised there was also marking the PlayStation 4 up at that price as well. And if you remember, many moons ago they actually tried to release the Wii U at £150 before it even launched, so trusting Amazon's prices is not worth doing. But the big thing I want to talk about this week is the Kinect. Now first of all, a lot of people have been panicking that the Kinect is always going to be listening, because obviously if you walk into your room, if I keep looking up to the right, by the way, that's the sensor bar telling me I'm buffering and moving too much, so that's what this means. So anyway, I was trying to say, I apologise for this mess, but I'll get it sorted by next week. So what I was trying to say is a lot of people were saying obviously if you walk into a living room and say the word Xbox on, therefore it wakes up, means that the Kinect has already been listening, so therefore people are panicking that the Kinect's always going to be on, always listening, and what could that mean? Now first of all, obviously the stupid bullshit article websites wrote this actually. Last week Microsoft did not present a version of the Xbox One that could be turned off. That's just stupid. If they've shown you the Kinect, just because they didn't show it turning off doesn't mean it can't turn off. That's like going to a showroom and seeing a brand new car going, well the reports are the car's nice and shiny but it's not able to drive because we didn't see it drive. So that's just websites just saying absolute crap. The worrying thing is Microsoft turned around and actually said yes, you can turn off your Xbox. There's going to obviously be a physical power button and it makes it have zero power and it is dead, which would render the Kinect dead. But they never actually says if you could turn the Kinect off, and obviously a lot of rumours are saying that it's going to be Kinect needs to be plugged in all the time for the actual console to operate. Now I don't understand why on earth we need this, because to be fair I've got the original Kinect, and the problem is, well, one, that was a gimmick and you didn't really need to use it. This one looks like I'll get a bit more use out of it. Again, it's still gimmicky, but hopefully I'll get more use out of it. But the point stands that I've disconnected my Kinect and it now lives in a drawer because I don't want to use it. And the other major reason for it is because on the top of my TV I've got a thin TV which is about that wide, and I can't put the Kinect on the top of it, nor do I want to put it at the bottom because majorly the cats run across the bottom of the unit and they always knock things over. So that's majorly one of the reasons I don't actually have it plugged in where it is. So I don't actually like the idea of being told that I must have this Kinect plugged in at all times. That means I've got to find a location to put it where it's cat friendly / I can have it on top of the TV. And two, I don't know why you're forcing that on people. Now they're saying that the actual Kinect sensor's got its own actual kind of CPU inside there, so I don't know if that means the Xbox is relying on that to do some of the power. God knows, I don't know. There must be, I hope there is a reason for justification of it, because if not, I can't understand why we've got to have it on all the time. Now, I wouldn't say this is 100% fact it's got to be plugged in, but it's looking pretty true, and I don't like the idea of that one bit. At the same time, I was going to say that I doubt they would be recording information and send it off to Microsoft, because one, if there was actually listening in and recording all your conversations and then somebody actually found out Microsoft was doing that, that would be under Microsoft, because obviously that would go to the highest courts in the land, saying you're eavesdropping on people without them knowing, you know what I mean, that's you done. So I don't think Microsoft would ever risk it. But at the same time, another article came out this week saying that Microsoft are giving you an opt-in option to allow them to take certain information. Now this can consist of how many people are in your room, and all the way to how many smiles you actually do. But I actually think the idea of the smiling thing is quite kind of clever, because what could happen is you could be watching a TV show on Netflix and it knows where you are on that scene, and it can actually check if you're smiling or you're laughing and feed that back to the creators of the show. I think that's quite a clever tool if that's the case, because to be fair, I watch a lot of TV and it's crap. So if they were able to take information from us and hopefully make TV shows better, that's great. But to be fair, that's just a bit far-fetched, and I would never opt into that. The second thing is people are saying that it's got to be online, always console, because of obviously this form of DRM system that they've got in place. Now it looks like Microsoft's saying it only needs to connect once every 24 hours. Now I can understand why they're doing this, because simply if you get a game and then you sell it, and then somebody else activates it, then you would still be able to play the game. So the reason to make you connect online is to check if your copy is now expired, making you not be able to play the game. So I understand why they do it, but they're saying that you have to connect every 24 hours. Now I think they should just scrap that completely and not have that in there, because the thing is, if you do need to connect online to activate a product and then you sell it on, I say let that person still use it, because at one point they'll activate another game, and when they go to activate it, disactivate all the other games that they've sold. And I know that means that there will be 2 copies in existence, but the amount of people doing that will be so slim, because majority of people do stay online. So I think it's a hindrance really forcing people to connect every 24 hours, let alone it could cause a problem for people that have downed internet. Now I hope the case that your console will still work in some state, because to be fair, what happens if Virgin Media for some reason had a blackout for about 24 to 48 hours? Does that mean my console is rendered completely useless because I'm unable to confirm with a Microsoft server if I'm on or offline? So I don't like that side of the feature as well. But again, fingers crossed E3 can actually clear some rumours up. The other thing I said that I was worried about was Microsoft not supporting the indie market. But this week it's come out that a chap by the name of Don Metric has simply said, we're going to have an indie creator program and we're going to support it, we're going to give people tools, and we're going to give them more information. So it does look good for the indie market. It looks like they're going to continue supporting it, because to be fair, I don't understand why on earth you would actually, because indie games, everyone's doing all the legwork, then they pay Microsoft rights to have it on the console, then Microsoft take a cut of it. So it's free money. Why would Microsoft turn that down? So it makes no sense to cut out the indie market. Oh, this camera's misbehaving. I'm even having to hold my hands down so I don't do my normal waving, just in fear the camera's going to shit bricks. So another thing that's come out this week that Microsoft did actually mention, they've got like 300,000 servers all ready to go. And they've said actually some of these servers are going to be doing some cloud computing, actually doing some of the graphic side of things for the Xbox One to make it even more powerful. Now the idea is that you put the game disc in your system, and obviously that's the GPU is going to make all your wonderful graphics, but to do a lot of the grunt work, it's actually going to send it over to the cloud. That would do all the chores and send it back to you. They said obviously anything with high latency, so in other words, anything that needs to be instantly done will be done by your console. Anything else such as lighting or physical modelling will be able to be done by the cloud. And then they've gone on to say is obviously if the internet connection is severed, then it will go back to your console actually doing the work. So the idea is the console is powerful enough to do next gen graphics, but if they wanted to step it up and get even more powerful graphics, that they're going to actually get the cloud computing to do this. Now the idea of this on paper, I think yes, sounds quite nice, but at the end of the day, if someone's going to create a game, when they come to put it onto PlayStation and Xbox, they're not going to do a super duper cloud version and a console version. They're just going to kind of port both of them across. Now I think you might be able to see some of Microsoft's exclusives utilize this cloud graphics thing, but when it comes down to somebody like EA, they're not going to do 2 different versions of Battlefields. They're going to be very similar. Because that's what I've always thought in the past as well, when someone says PlayStation 3 is more powerful than the Xbox, or Xbox is blah blah blah. When you look at the screenshots and comparisons, they're very very similar, and the reason for that is because devs aren't going to go, oh, I can get an extra inch of power out of that console, let's add a bit more graphics. It's going to be very similar version. And the other good thing is when the Xbox 360 came out, the Xbox One was quickly dropped 2 years later. And Microsoft's come out this week and said that they're actually going to continue supporting the Xbox 360 for another 5 years, and then went on to say they're planning to ship another 25 million units over them 5 years. And I think this is absolutely brilliant, because obviously a lot of people aren't going to be willing to jump onto these consoles, especially if DRM's are looming above their heads. So I think the idea of supporting the console is brilliant. And obviously PlayStation, they'll probably support the PlayStation 3 for a bloody decade, because look how long support the actual PlayStation 2 got. So I think it's great both of them are going to be supporting the consoles well after the launch of the next gen. But the last thing I just want to say about Microsoft is I still stand by what I said, and I don't think they should have done the entire conference, because now they've got a PR storm on their hands, and it's because the information they gave was vague. And I myself would turn around and go, well, I won't believe anything until you give me more information. But that doesn't stop people speculating and rumours coming out. So the thing is, one, the PR team needs to step it up and just squash the rumours, or two, they shouldn't have done it in the first place and just give us everything at E3. Oh, my arms need to be lifted! Oh, I feel so square. This video is killing me. I'm a physical man. I need to show and express with my arms. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is a bit of PlayStation 4. So now a petition going around on Twitter of people saying hashtag PS4 no DRM, because people are starting to panic that Sony may be introducing DRM to the system as well. Now before I get into any of the facts and figures about this is just my entire theory on it. About 2-3 weeks ago we saw that EA turned around and says it was going to be dropping the actual online pass completely, obviously across both systems. Now we understand why they was doing that, because obviously it looks like the Xbox has some form of DR thing in place where you're going to have to pay for second-hand games. Now, as I said as well in a previous video, that netted them between 10 to 15 million pounds in online passes alone. Now, I could not see at all EA scrapping the online pass if Sony hasn't got DRM in place. If Sony turn around to EA and simply says, we are going to support second-hand games, we're going to let people sell them and there's going to be no charge at all, then EA would still keep the online pass in place, because it's going to net them probably at least about £7 million just on PlayStation. And we know EA love money and they do nothing for free. So EA would never turn around, in my eyes, and say, okay, then we're going to remove the online pass for you, unless Sony's got something in place to still generate the money, such as DRM. So my theory is both of them have got it in place simply because EA have pulled it off both systems. But the point is, if DRM is in place, I don't understand what this Twitter campaign is going to do, because if everyone's saying Sony don't go DRM, I don't think you can control that at all. Simply because if they do have DRM in place, therefore they've obviously told all the publishers and developers that their system has DRM, and then them publishers and developers have gone on to create games. So if Sony had a change of heart and turned around and says we aren't going to go down DRM, it means all the publishers and developers that are waiting to get a kickback on the DRM second-hand market would then have to go and introduce the online pass again, which would mean they have to recode the game, because the code was obviously going to be willingly open. So now they're going to have to program back in there, we need to check if this person's activated it. And second of all, they're going to have to print off a load of obviously pieces of cardboard to slip in all side the cases, say this is your online pass. So one, that's going to cause a lot of problem with developers and publishers and would really upset them. And two, I'm sure that would be open for Sony to be sued, because if Sony has said they're going to do something and the developers and publishers known that and willingly made games for the console with that in place on the contract, and then Sony just go, we've changed our minds, I'm sure that's open to grounds to be sued. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if they have or haven't. My personal belief is they've definitely got DR in place, because my EA theory, and even if they have or haven't, going to Twitter will not change this. But I think the entire end game for both Sony, Microsoft, for everyone really, is to get us all to go fully digital. Now, as I said in the past, people aren't willing to go fully digital. We've seen it being introduced and more games are going digital, but we've still got an absolutely ridiculous amount of physical games. And the first step to getting us into the digital area is DRM. So I would believe Sony and Microsoft have a gentleman's agreement and both tipped their hats and said we'll do it together. Because obviously if one does it and the other one doesn't, then obviously they're going to win over a majority of the market. So I think we do have a gentleman's agreement in place. And the next interesting thing that was saying that obviously the PlayStation 4 has the ability to be able to stream the games to the actual Vita by a system by the name of Remote Play. Now the rumour is that Sony are actually making it mandatory for anyone that's making games on the system to have Remote Play on there, unless obviously it needs to make use of the PlayStation Eye. Because if that's the case, it's not going to work on the Vita. Which I think is quite interesting, because like I said, I've not actually got in bed with Microsoft yet. I may change up and just go to the PlayStation 4. But if I did buy a PlayStation 4 and it did force all the games to be compatible for the Vita, I think that'd be awesome. It's something that I wouldn't obviously use all the time, but I would love the idea of having the option there that if Joe wanted to watch TV, I could just lay on the settee and just play on it. So obviously they're taking the idea from the Wii U, but I think it's a good idea. So yeah, good on you, Sony. So the next thing I want to talk about is Nintendo. And the first thing is I wanted to talk about it last week, but obviously there was too much to cram into one video, and that was that EA have turned around now and says they are no longer making any more games for the Wii U. And then also one of the people that actually work at EA then took to Twitter and simply said the Wii U was crap, less powerful than 360, poor online store, and a weird tablet. Nintendo are the walking dead. So I think this is quite a weird move that EA have turned around and says we're not going to make any games whatsoever, because as I said, EA love to make money. But then this falls back into this entire DRM argument that I've been having. That obviously Wii U's out, we know how that works, and that doesn't have DRM in place. And if Sony and Microsoft are both going to go DRM, then that doesn't fit how EA want to operate, and that's why they've probably ditched the Wii U. Which again is another tick in the box, kind of confirming that it looks like PlayStation 4 may have DRM. But that's not all bad news though for Nintendo. Obviously, because the Wii U doesn't have DRM, that we've actually noticed since this DRM information's come out and people are panicking that both the consoles are going to be having it, the Wii U sales have spiked. Now I think this is a lot of parents and obviously just gamers that have been waiting out to say, let's find out about the Xbox and PlayStation's information, and now the information's here and they've gone, I am not willing to go into this DRM market at all. So it's made the decision for them and they've gone to the Wii U. At the same time, they managed to secure a exclusive with Sega to release Sonic the Lost World just for Wii U only. So I think it's good that we're seeing that Nintendo are being a bit more aggressive when it comes down to games, because I would have guessed they would have something in place with Sega that said we'll pay you a bit of money to not put it on the others. And I think that's good. I think Nintendo definitely needs to step the game up a bit when it comes down to nabbing games. So I think that's one step in the right direction. And on top of all that, the 3DS sales are up by 52%, which is completely unheard of. And this is not me saying this because 3DS sales are poor, it's because every time any console is launched, year after year after year, the sales become less and less and less. Whereas the 3DS is the only console known to man that's actually been getting more and more sales each year. So yeah, they're up by 52% since April 2012. So Nintendo does have a real chance now. If these two consoles are bringing out DRM, you've got plenty of people who sat there and not willing to do this, and Nintendo can come straight in and nab them on. The only thing that they're lacking at the moment is a ridiculous amount of games. And I do fear that we're not going to see a massive amount of games because obviously they're not going to be on the stage at E3. At the same time, if they have managed to sign some form of contract with Sega to say give us more games than the others, then when it comes out to a possible Shenmue 1 or 2 HD remake or even Shenmue 3, that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people, including me and my mates who were saying that if the Wii U did have Shenmue 3 as an exclusive, that would probably make us buy the console. Which proves I'm not willing to buy the Wii U, I'm just waiting for that game or games to actually make me buy it. So, there you go. That surprised you, didn't it? Bit of good news about Sony and Nintendo, and I bashed Microsoft. Now I have to say I'm still sticking with the idea of the Xbox One at the moment, just because of some of the games that are coming out, and also there's a rumour that Crackdown 3 is coming out, because I actually did watch the conference back and it does look like there is a Crackdown 3 logo in the background. So at the moment then we just need to wait for E3, which is round the corner, to find out exactly what the costs of this DRM is, who's the one that's actually going to be paying it, because there's another rumour coming out simply saying that it's down to the game shops to pay the DRM prices, which kind of gets a bit messy because that means if you buy it off eBay you'll have to actually pay for the license yourself. But it does work out for the shops, because obviously the shops will then having to be paid Microsoft, so they'll be tucking into the profits. But it means if people buy it from a game shop, it's already been unlocked, which would then save you the price of having to activate it when you get home, which means the shop sales will get higher than eBay. So it kind of works in both ways. But again, all rumours, so just come on E3 and give us back some figures. So that's pretty much me done. I can't wait to finish this video so I can start moving again. So that means I'm going to have to give you a question of the week, and what it is which console are you thinking of getting, and what's the worst trait of the console? So I'm doing this to try and encourage people not to bash the opposition, but simply bash the person that you're actually looking to buy for. Me is obviously Xbox One, and what I'm not looking forward to is Kinect being forced down my neck, when I think this should be an option to just simply unplug it and throw it away. By throw it away I mean just put it in a basket until some kids come around and you go, you want to see this cool technology? So that's me done and dusted. I'm going to kick back now and play some Lollipop Chainsaw and start moving me bloody arms about. So thank you very much for watching guys. Cheers. Bye.